In this video, we're going to talk about evaluating some limits. Basically, each of these, we're going to do some algebraic manipulation and then eventually be able to plug in the value for our limit. So the first one we have is the limit as x goes to 3 of 3x minus x squared divided by x minus 3. And the initial problem is that we have a division by 0 in the denominator. So we want to try to get rid of that x minus 3 in the denominator. So we can go ahead and try factoring. So we've got limit x goes to 3. If I factor the numerator, I get x 3 minus x over x minus 3. And then notice that if I multiply by a negative in either the numerator and denominator, I can write this as limit x goes to 3 negative x minus 3 over x minus 3. And now we see that these x minus 3's for sure cancel. So we have a hole in this function at x equals 3. And apart from exactly at 3, our function would be equal to negative x. And here we can plug in 3 no problem, and we end up getting negative 3 for our limit. All right, the second one, we have limit as t goes to 1 of 1 minus square root of t divided by t minus 1. Here again, we have division by 0. And so we need to figure out how to deal with this t minus 1. In the previous example, we were able to factor the numerator and cancel out a t minus 1. But here, we don't exactly have a polynomial that we can factor very easily. So instead, we can attempt to multiply by the conjugate. So for this one, we have limit t goes to 1 minus square root t over t minus 1. And we can see if multiplying by the conjugate of 1 minus square root t helps. Now the conjugate, if you remember from pre-calculus, would be 1 plus square root t, 1 plus square root t. And here, in the numerator, we get 1 times 1 gives us 1. And then our 1 times square root t and then 1 times negative square root t are going to end up canceling, and then we get 1 minus square root t squared, which gives us 1 minus t. And then in the denominator we have t minus 1, 1 plus square root t. And then notice we can cancel out the 1 minus t and t minus 1. We just have to kind of multiply by a negative. So I end up getting that this is limit as t goes to 1 of negative 1 over 1 plus square root t. And now we can plug in, and we don't have division by 0. So this gives us a negative 1 over 1 plus square root 1 gives us 2. And so this would be our limit. All right, for this third problem, we again have a division by 0. So when we plug in the 0, we get 3 minus square root of 9, which is 3 minus 3, so division by 0. And again, we don't have something that we can factor. But we can attempt to use the conjugate of our denominator. So we've got limit t goes to 0 of t over 3 minus square root t plus 9. And I can see what happens when I multiply by the conjugate, 3 plus t plus 9 and 3 plus square root t plus 9. Well, in the numerator, this ends up giving me t times 3 plus square root t plus 9. And in the denominator, I get 3 times 3 gives me 9, minus a t plus 9. Simplifying, I get limit as t goes to 0 of my numerator stays the same, and my denominator, I have two 9's that end up canceling out, and I get a negative t. So I can cancel my t's, and I get that this is equal to the limit as t goes to 0 of negative 3 plus square root t plus 9. Now I can plug in 0 no problem, and I end up getting that this is equal to negative 3 plus square root 9, or negative 6.